and welcome. Today again is another video just kind of documenting the research I'm going through regarding specifically this video is about the Kabbalah Tree of Life and this top Sephiroth. And actually not just the top one, I suppose, but the conflicts I see in different people who different correspondences of planets to the Sephiroth. So in other words, I'm seeing here, and here. I'm seeing a lot of variation in how these planets are corresponded. Now, again, I have not come to a full conclusion, but here, let's take a look. I'm going to explain what I'm seeing. At first, I noticed a lot of Neptune was being placed here. Okay? And in a way, that made sense. And due to the fact that Neptune is dreamy, it's so I mean you could say that it's connected to our imaginations, our dreams, and it makes sense. You know, again, you have to have deeper knowledge of this, but you know, this is the middle pillar, right? And it makes sense to some degree when you start looking at how this functions and how it's supposed to be understood. That it's like up here is the crown, right? And you imagine this above your head, or some people imagine they're standing outside of our solar system, looking down at the other planets. So standing out on the what is the furthest planet may have once been understood as Neptune. It's not. We understand that Pluto's out there as well. But I'm going to get into this, and there is somewhat of a conclusion, and I'm going to reference Aleister Crowley's 777 to explain it. But anyways, let's just show some of the other variations. Some people have placed an entire new Sephiroth here, right? So there's that. But this is Uranus here, and then Pluto here. And then they shift Neptune. So this actually to me doesn't make very much sense at all. But I suppose to the person it did. It looks like what they're trying to do here is connect these back with the Tree of Life and with the Tarot. You see the lovers so that's more on the lines between the Sephiroth. But anyways, I digress. Let's jump. So here's one that has Pluto as the crown. Now, and then they put Uranus here. Because I don't think this Sephiroth, for some people, the Sephiroth doesn't even exist here. So anyways. Again, which is which here. So in 777, which is written by Aleister Crowley, and again, Aleister Crowley, he went crazy, but he was also really wicked smart, especially in his younger years, and he put a lot of these correspondences together in the 1920s, long before the internet. So it took a lot of thinking and probably writing and journaling for him and probably digging through and finding ancient texts and such. He put, this is what he calls as the primum mobile. Okay, or first move. That was the outermost moving sphere in the geocentric model of the universe. So I believe that I don't know for a fact, but he may have written this, or he may have referenced Kabbalah, which Kabbalah existed before the knowledge of Pluto, really. So they wouldn't have called it Pluto. Okay, so, and even now people debate whether or not, let's see, why Pluto is not a planet. There's a lot of people who don't consider Pluto a planet, right? It doesn't meet the 3 criteria. And then so some people consider it, others don't. Some astrological practices consider it, some don't. But I would argue, and I'm kind of jumping, I know I'm jumping around, but this is about connecting dots, people. Since you're obviously watching this post coronavirus, post COVID, and I will tell you that the Jupiter and Pluto conjunction was always predicted to cause, especially with Saturn sitting there, was always predicted to cause pandemics and protests. Now, I could even go through and find videos of astrologers, namely Joni Patry, who again, I'm just trying to give you an image to look at. Namely Joni Patry and her channel, I could show you 10 months in advance where she mentioned what was coming and that it would involve pandemics and protests. Okay. And she even called a day, which I used that day to, I figured out that day was going to be the day that the stock market turned to go, when the stock market crashed when COVID hit. So that was February 2020. So, you know, to ignore, my point here, going off on this tangent, is to ignore Pluto is nonsensical when it's actually might be the most predictable patterns we can use are the one with the furthest out planet, the one that's moving the slowest. Okay, so let's go back here. Another one, someone did artwork with Pluto. So conclusion for today, for me, is that Pluto is the crown. I believe, because you have to remember where this is coming from. This is Jewish mysticism, which predates even way predates Aleister Crowley, predates, I don't know exactly when it came out, but I mean, it's old. So I believe what he named as Crowley, or Jewish mysticism names as primum mobile, the outermost moving sphere in the geocentric model. Okay, so, right. That's going to be Pluto. That's the furthest one out. Maybe the geeks at NASA don't consider Pluto a planet, but it's certainly a body that's in our universe that clearly astrologers can use to predict things, some very powerful things that reoccur, namely Jupiter and Pluto coming together is often aligned with pandemics and protests throughout time. So that's a completely separate study that you can make. It's just research articles on Pluto. There's some high quality articles on it, some thorough essays on Jupiter and Pluto conjunctions, right? I don't know. You'll find them. They're out there. Not just about 2020, but I suppose, but that will go through history and show and demonstrate a correlation with Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions, pandemics, and protests. Okay? Anyways, that's it. My conclusion is Pluto is the crown. I'm not even discussing whether or not Neptune belongs there or Uranus belongs there, but I digress. Hope that was helpful and informative. If you got any comments, or I love comments or criticism, toss them at me.